Hey to all those seeking vibrant health, it's Dr. Rachel Northern, family wellness chiropractor here in Johnsburg, Illinois. Loving it. It's rainy today, but I'm glad to give a talk about family health. And I like to do this talk in the spring, getting families more active and getting out of the house a little bit more and give you some thoughts of how to make your family healthier. And so we get some tips for the family. So I'm just going to go ahead and get on with it then. So I always like to have some thinking questions on this topic. So, what is your vision for a healthy family? So if you thought about what you want your family to look like, to be healthier, like always, that's something close to my heart, obviously, as a chiropractor and a health practitioner. Like, I always want my family to be healthy, and so I like them to be doing certain things, and I like them not to have to go to the doctor for sicknesses, and doing things to prevent sicknesses, and just investing in their health. So what does that look like, you think, for your family? How can you maybe bring your family a little bit more away from disease and closer to that health that I've talked about in other talks? So what are some things that healthy families do? Maybe there's some families that you think, oh, wow, they're a really cool, awesome, healthy family. Sometimes I'm out hiking or something and I see a whole family out together riding their bikes, and I think that, wow, that's awesome. So in your head, what do you think would be kind of cool? And then what are things, that there's families that you're like, oh, that's not good. That family that's eating at McDonald's every night, that's not really good for their health. So maybe kind of think about what healthy families do and maybe what not so healthy families do, and kind of maybe gauge yourself of where you fall in between there. So what do you need to stop doing maybe in your family that, to help you guys be healthier? So maybe stop buying soda pop, or maybe stop buying certain refined food and junk food, chips and such, to bring into the house. So, what kind of things can you stop doing that just automatically is going to make your family healthier, because then you only have healthy options to pick from. Okay, and how can your family reach more optimal health? So what are ways that you can think of that way? So I'm going to give you some tips on that. And I like to always go back to what family values. So what does your family value? Like, that kind of feeds into if you're going to take action or not. So, like I said, health is really high on my value list. And truth and integrity is really high on my value list. So if I'm telling a patient you should be doing this at home, then, I try to make sure I'm doing that at home. So I usually don't ever buy soda unless we're having a party and I know family members are coming over and they're going to require it. But most of the time it stays out of my house. I try not to buy it unless my husband brings it home or someone else. And so I try to practice what I preach, kind of thing. Is it forgiveness and grace? Are you a very kind of strict legalistic household? Like, do this and you'll be rewarded? Or are you more like, okay, there's expectations and sometimes we're going to fail and let's just pick ourselves up and try again. Love and respect. Are we a family that really does love and care and appreciate each other and respect each other? I know it's hard when those kids are younger and they have the sibling rivalries and they're fighting and it's just not fun. But still, trying to establish, okay, what is a good balance of healthy bickering and not so healthy and more abusive, and also, are you contributors to the community? I have one family, patients that they are all the time going to food pantries, helping out with community events. That's what they thrive on. And, they're doing 5K walks and other things. So that's kind of really important in their family. And some families are really about the fun. And we're kind of that way. The Northern household always wants to have fun for the most part. I literally tried BMX bicycle riding for a stint there until I got hurt a couple times. And I'm like, I need my hands. They're kind of important. But I did try it out to try something different with the kids. So, trying something new and fun and being creative. Are you a crafting household? Are you more of a sports household? Are you more into academics? But make sure each family member kind of finds out what their gets to contribute as saying, this is actually really valuable, and try to make sure that we're doing, helping everybody to thrive through their values and not trying to be conformed to maybe just one, but kind of find what the variety of the family has and see if we can honor all those through activities or such. So, main thing is meal planning. So they say about 70 to 80% of our health is related just to the foods that we're eating. So that's a big chunk. So if that's one big chunk that you guys can get better at, that's going to help you a lot. So breakfast, I talk about is important. I've been talking about it a long time. I know we've talked recently about the new studies on intermittent fasting, and that's more for adults. Kids still need protein. Kids are still growing. They're totally different from adults. So if you're thinking about intermittent fasting and having those space between meals, that's great for, I would say, when you're older, but not for kids. So making sure still the kids need the protein. They need, when I say colors, not the rainbow of Skills. I'm talking about, not the jelly beans. I'm talking about, the different colors, the berries, the greens, the yellow peppers, all the different colors you want to get in. So one thing too, research has talked about is having kids actually help prepare meals, and learning how to portion control, actually helping them, letting them serve themselves. There's been a lot of data about the ones that you serve. When you serve for them, they don't actually learn how to gauge how much they should serve themselves. So when they have the opportunity to go and mix cereal or something, they're going to do more than the portion size is supposed to be. I have some families that talked about actually getting the measuring cups out and letting them see how much a cup of cereal is, how much, a quarter cup of blueberries are, or strawberries, things like that. Now, you don't have to be so free with that, so regimented, but maybe in the beginning just for some learning lessons. So just for the concepts of knowing this is what a true serving size is. Because really, in our country, the SAD, Standard American Diet, we know where portion sizes are out of control. And that's part of the reason why we are a growing nation, as in we're bigger by body fat, obesity, etc. And that's all the way trickling down to our kids, to the point where they want to do diabetes checks in kindergarten because we're having some sugar issues with our little ones. So portion control, if you can start to teach them and read the labels, that's a great thing. Also, they talk about just making sure to sit down for meals, making sure put the phones away, sit down, have it where you're quiet, letting your digestive system calm down and do what it needs to do. A lot of reasons why we have all these digestive issues today is because our heads are still somewhere else, and our brain is not saying, we're taking in food, and it's not prepared with the digestive enzymes and the hydrochloric acid and all the things that needs to break down the food. Your body's like, you're still working. Why are you eating? So making sure to take that time and sit down, and also try to make it a social, connecting with family. The diet I recommend overall is the low-carb Mediterranean diet. That's just one that's just really rich with your fruits and vegetables. I always tell people to try to have at least the 2 cups of vegetables a day and 1 to 2 cups of fruits a day, especially the berries, which are rich in your antioxidants. For your snacks, try to go with your nuts and seeds. And, again, trying to go with a variety of colors. Drink, lots of water throughout the day. I always talk about drinking away from meals. You want to actually have your hydrochloric acid have a higher saturation level, I guess. So diluting that with fluids actually causes some people why they're having problems with digestion. So I actually say drink your water actually between meals. Obviously, if you need a little bit to wash things down when you eat, then go ahead and do that. But I've never served drinks with dinner with my family, and we've not had any problems with that. And for the most part, it works out really well. And I've had other practitioners say that's actually reversed a lot of these major athletes. One of the doctors I went to a seminar, he coached or adjusted major athletes, and they had a lot of digestive issues. And this is one tip he told them to do, and it made a difference for these athletes. So foods don'ts, okay? The don't do's. Don't reward with food, okay? Yourself or your children. That is causing possibly a negative thing to do with the obesity. I got an email from a holistic practitioner in the area this last week. We just had Easter last weekend, and she sent an awesome email talking about, like, for the Easter basket, instead of having candy, having like jump ropes and chalk and bubbles and non-foods actually in their Easter baskets instead of the sugar. And I thought that was a really great idea. So when I reward a kid, especially here in the office, we have other things. We have stickers, we have markers, we have pencils, we have them ring a bell, anything that's kind of more like fun and not have to be involved in an intake. Because what happens as we get older, then when we're rewarding ourselves, sometimes then we try to use that for any kind of emotion, boredom, anxiety, depression, then we're trying to stimulate that positive sensation with food. And that's not, something we want to establish when they're young, okay? Also, another thing is, my mom grew up in the generation of, you got to clean everything on your plate. You got to eat everything on your plate, whatever you serve, you shove that on them. And I say that's not really good psychology, but my philosophy and what I've seen too with some of the data is have them try it. Have at least my family, you had to take at least one bite, give it a try. I had a strong-willed child, and she'd be like, I don't want it. I'm like, one bite. Okay, I did my bite, I don't want it. Okay, fine. The next time I serve it, all of a sudden, miraculously, she was eating it. So it was like she just wanted to be stubborn and not say, I did like it, So I used to say, you got to at least give it a try. One bite, and then that's fine, and it is what it is. So that's a little tip I want to give you. Obviously, the things we want to avoid with toxins, the refined foods, the sugar, the artificial sweeteners, the artificial colorings, anything that's a non-food. So anything that's in your food that's not real food. Because anything that's not real food in your food, your poor liver has to process and try to get out of you. So they're just not really good, obviously, and they just cause ill health problems over long term and are contributors to obesity and all these other health ailments that we have. So, the fast food, try to avoid as much as possible. I understand once in a while you have to do it, but try to make better choices. Even the fast food companies are now having apples and other options instead of just the fries and all the junk. So try to go with the healthier options that these places offer. Trans fats, we know increases cholesterol, increases other issues. GMOs are just that genetic modified organisms, which are man-made type problems that are causing with our crops. And then we have the soft drinks. And obviously, I really absolutely don't think kids should be having caffeine, either in sodas or drinking coffee, which I've actually seen like a 10-year-old have coffee once. I was like, what? So those are not really good for their growth and their hormones. So also minimizing, obviously, smoke pollution, air pollution. I should have put vaping in there as well, because now the epidemic, the vaping epidemic now it starts in junior high, so we're starting with 12-year-olds, and that is unhealthy. We know it's not. We have kids that are ending up being hospitalized. So avoiding anything that's you're putting in your body that we don't need to. Also be careful about plastics. Whether you're buying new carpet, just furnishing our house with a carpet, or even buying throw rugs and adding those in. Maybe have them air out in the garage for a couple of weeks before you bring them in, because they do cause some issues with allergies on some people and some reactions. Laundry detergents. This is kind of common, where I've had patients come in that they've had irritation from certain laundry detergents, again, because they have a lot of chemicals in them. So try to look at laundry detergents that are a little bit safer, on the body and on the environment. So I use, there's a couple brands out there that are more natural. Shaklee's got some products. I use Melaleuca. You can buy some over the counter. Just look at them and make sure that they're healthy products in them. So, and just be careful with the harsh cleaning products that you use as well. So, that can cause outgassing, being careful when you're touching them, making sure you're keeping products, that are harsh up in high cabinets away from little ones so they can't get injured by getting into them. So, one thing I also like to talk about is lotions. Even just regular over-the-counter lotions, they add more chemicals into them. They try to make chemicals that help your skin be softer, and that actually causes problems with hormones sometimes. We call them xenohormones. And so, even on your kids, you want to be careful with this. And, any kind of skincare product or hair care product, again, trying to stay as close to natural as possible with less fillers, less whatever extras. And then sunblocks, I always talk about that during the summertime. The sunblocks I recommend with one of the active ingredients of just zinc oxide or titanium oxide or both. Anything else that has like oxybenzene, all those actually have been proven to cause cancer. So it's counteractive or indicated, just, okay, I'm going to put this on my skin to prevent skin cancer, but this chemical causes cancer. It's kind of stupid. So I like those, like zinc oxide, titanium oxide, and they've come out a long way where now you can find spray ones now that are the sport sprays and pumps and things. So that's kind of nice for convenience I'm putting on. Before it was like chalky white, and it was like you had to rub it in like 20 minutes before it got in, and it's not as bad anymore. You can find some good products online or at the stores. So physical activities, so family activities. So avoiding sitting more than an hour at a time. So that, there's some studies that came out last year talking about for like every hour we're awake, you should be up and moving at least 10 to 15 minutes of that hour. So I have patients who are sitting at a desk, try to set alarm to go off every 45 to 50 minutes to get up and move around a little bit during that time. If you have to get stuck to a desk, say whatever, you have meetings and things like that, then you make sure on your lunch break you're walking 30 minutes or walking around and doing something. Take those breaks. All right, so family activities. So set goals and get the planner out for like physical activities. Say, I want to be out and do so many activities a month, and then try to put it in the planner. Or if you want to even be spontaneous, like, hey, I want to hit these kind of things this month, and maybe you just get a sunny day and like, oh, what's on our list? Oh, let's go skating. Let's go, whatever. Go to the beach and go swimming. You can be either vigorous or more spontaneous, however you want to do it. Make a list of things that maybe the family wants to do, and get them out away from from the desk mostly. You can even, say you are trapped inside, you can actually find yoga videos. Amazon and all these things have yoga videos, and even kids exercise videos and fun activities. So if you have to stay inside, then find a fun video to watch and get up and move around. So, and then when it is nice, please kick the kids outside, let them get some natural nature. I think I talked about nature deficit syndrome we have now in our world, because these kids aren't getting out enough and they're finding problems with that. So get them outside. So I'm going to hand this over. Dr. Kelsey's got some studies and things she wants to recommend, and then I'll take it back over. You got it?
All right.
I'll put this on you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You got it.
All right. So we know that growing up to be healthy starts during development, and there's studies that are showing that proper brain development is very linked with proper core development. So when you're doing core exercises, strengthening your core, and doing exercises that strengthen your balance abilities, you're strengthening your nervous system both in your body and in your mind, because it's kind of co-acting with your brain development in that area. And there's also studies showing that children that are having struggles with school, things like ADHD, or other type of developmental delays like speech delays. It's really important part of their development, part of their journey, growing up as a child, to also be focusing on that posture and that core development. So, yep, if your child is in speech therapy, or if they're having another educational program that they're going to get back on track with their development, like, kind of catching up to their other peers, it's really important that their core is also strengthened. And there's lots of different ways that you can do this. You can, if you're working out and doing activities as a family, there's, you can gymnastics, yoga, playing with balance boards or exercise balls, things you can do at home with the whole family. And another thing is lots of kids, if you want well-rounded kids, you have either in sports and they're doing music and all sorts of activities, which is really great for, developing like good skills and good life skills and good time management. But one thing is that sports and instruments, certain ones, they tend to be repetitive, and sometimes they use asymmetrical parts of the body. So they can, if you're not using proper technique, they can lead to, postural distortions and pain, which might later on the road cause your child to quit the activity because they don't feel like they're as good at it, or they don't like the way it makes them feel, or anything. So if you're starting to notice that your child is slouching or craning their neck, or they just look uncomfortable when they're playing sports or they're playing their instrument, that's something you can watch out for. And if you have concerns, it's important to talk to your child's coach about seeing if they can help you, or their music instructor, seeing if they have any tips. It's also really important to notice that you're using the proper sized equipment and proper fitting gear. That's all very important for proper technique. So if we're able to correct this early on in the child's activity, the more success they'll have later on as an adult if they want to continue with those activities. So talk to the coach, just properly observe your child, and get them checked and get them adjusted by their chiropractor if you have any other concerns. And I'm going to hand this back to Dr. Rachel.
Oh, it's stuck. All right, I gotcha. It's got to clip. Okay. So back to me. So she was talking. It made me think about when I was doing my pediatric certification. I took one class, and he talked about actually crawling, going back to crawling as a family, and how that cross crawl pattern is very important for your brain development and even some of your math skills. So he said even like just pretend like maybe once a week or twice a week, like set a timer for 10 minutes and you guys can play zoo or whatever animals, and actually go around and crawl around your house. And first off, you see a lot of things you don't from that perspective, a lot of things that might need to be cleaned. And you see, as an adult, you kind of see things from your kid's perspective sometimes. And the other thing I noticed, like I actually did this exercise, I was actually starting to do it in the gym, like kind of when nobody was in the gym, when I go in like after hours, I crawl around. It really, because right now we have this tech neck thing where so many people come in and their forward head posture. It actually helps like with your back of your neck, strengthening that cervical curve again. And I was like, wow, my neck was sore after that 10 minutes crawling around. And so it just activated different muscles in my body. So, and I didn't notice like the improvement in my brain skills, but there are some studies saying that does help actually just doing that activity. So that's something, a little fun thing maybe to throw on the list to kind of maybe have you guys do, like randomly. Okay, it's time to play zoo, 10 minutes, let's do it. Really great activity, really good idea that a teacher gave me. So this is my final kind of slides for Family Health Team, which I just did a Facebook Live on this, just short tip about, your internal team. So the planner. So who is it can be designated as the planner? Who's the good about keeping the books, keeping the calendar, maybe seeing the list of what activities we want to try to accomplish this month. So this kind of brings me back to, I've done several mission trips with youth groups with a group called World Changers, and we would do mission projects, and we'd get mixed up with all these different teenagers, and then we'd have a group about 10, and they had assignments we had to hand out, like, or they'd have to volunteer for. And one was like the break master. So one person had to come and make sure that we took breaks. And we usually were in very hot places, so they were making sure everybody got their water breaks and taking time to drink their water and stay hydrated, so we didn't have anybody passing out on us. We had a safety inspector, so that person had to make sure if somebody was on a ladder that they had a buddy, making sure they're holding the ladder safe and walking around and making sure things were picked up or we're not tripping over rakes or things like that. And we had, all these different positions that everybody got to have. So this is kind of the same thing, I think, in the family. It's kind of fun to have, like, okay, who's going to be the planner to help us stay healthy and do these activities? Okay, who's the cook? So my husband's the primary cook. I'm more of the shopper. So I didn't left that off the list, and I talked about it on Monday night. But I'm like the shopper. I'll go and buy the groceries, and I'll do that stuff. But mostly my husband's the cook. He's really good at that. So, the cook's really important because we just talked about all these things that, how food is a very important part of a health. So if the cook is only going to make, hot dogs, it's not going to be good. So luckily I have a cook that's really good at experimenting and trying new things. And then, like, he likes, he does shop too. But anyway, so who's that in your family? Who's kind of that? You could switch hats maybe, because on our team we had like 2 people who had each position, so they had a buddy. But find out, like, who wants to do that, and maybe you could rotate that position too once a month. The cheerleader. So the cheerleader is kind of like the encourager. Also, when I go on these mission trips, we had like encourager, these little postcards that we would write little awesome affirmations to other crew members and put them in their little mailbox. And so who's the cheerleader? Like, sometimes that's just somebody naturally in your family that's just kind of the one that cheerleads and encourages people. So kind of figure that out and, like, make sure you reward them and also cheerlead them back, So who's that in your family? And, like, kind of just maybe let that happen. And the health director. So that's very important. This person's the one that usually makes sure you got your dentist appointment set up, you got your chiropractic appointment set up, what days you go to the gym, what days you're doing your music lessons, whatever. They're the ones that kind of make sure to kind of keep everything on track and know where all the records are when in case something happens. They kind of know where the records are stored. So that's kind of like a couple team people I was kind of thinking to kind of put some things. And obviously one person, if you're a small family, can have more than one position. And so the external health team is thought of a couple things. So your farmer or your grocer. So that, who provides for your food. So around here, now we're spring, we got some of the farmers are opening up, doing farmers markets. We have people you can go to locally and that it's fresh, where it's grown, it's, if it's organically grown. So if you have like a community-supported agriculture, something like that, check out your community. See who your farmer is. We still have also in our area where you can actually order things organic online and have it mailed to you, or dropped off to you. So those are something you kind of think about where you're getting your food from and how healthy is your food that you're getting in. Your family wellness practitioner, whether that be your family wellness chiropractor. So I kind of fill the role in a lot of families. I do have my pediatric certification, and so I do look in ears. So somebody will come to me, but sometimes before they go to the medical doctor, so I can look in the ear and make sure if we have an ear infection or if the neck's off and that's causing, an irritation into the ear. So that's one thing. I fill that position, or as chiropractors can in some states. And you can have a functional medicine type doctor, but somebody who wants to promote wellness, not just like kind of you have your checkup, your status quo, you're surviving. We kind of more wants you to be thriving and your family to continue to thrive and be healthy. Your dentist, so this is really important because your teeth are very involved in your health. There's a lot of studies on that. I'm sure you've heard. The dentist capitalize on all that of like just the bacteria in your mouth definitely correlates with your health status. So making sure you get your teeth cleaned, make sure you're keeping on your dental appointments, and either your gym, whether you go to like a fun house gym or you have some other place or a trainer, or it's just an app or your TV that you're using to help you just make sure you mix it up and have different variety for your exercise and stay inspirational on how you do things. And then also making sure you're doing them properly. So, and then the other thing is your spiritual community. So, I talk about health is defined as physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being, not just the absence of diseases or infirmities. So, making sure you have some kind of connection, whatever that shape, form it is for you. There's definitely a factor of how it makes you healthier. The families that have these communities are definitely healthier. And so here's just an example of a healthy family I was thinking about. So they're happy, and they're, when they come in, they're joyous. They're just fun to be, have in the office. And they're curious. They're looking at my books. They're looking at our flyers. They're just continually want to learn and, understand things. They're poking at my skeleton and asking questions about my skeleton. And that's great. Those families are great to have. Eating healthy snacks. Like I see them come in, and instead of a bag of Oreos, which I used to have, 17 years ago when they came into my practice, they'll have a bag of, almonds and walnuts or something. And that just makes me so happy. Now, before all this craziness, the last year we used to have a bowl of apples out, and we'd have them for people to have. And those kids would just get those apples, and they really like the apples. So hopefully one day we'll bring them back. Activities. So, making sure they get a variety of activities. I really don't like when a child is in one activity all year round, because it's not healthy for their joints to do that repetitive, like Dr. Kelsey was saying, that asymmetrical thing, whether they're softball or volleyball or whatever. It's just really good to have breaks on those joints and have some other activity to be involved in to kind of just get more variety in the movement of the body. And again, making sure you have proper posture with those things. So they use more natural cleaning products and essential oils. That's what EOs are, essential oils for their home instead of kind of chemicals in their home. And, they make sure they are getting checked regularly. I just had a whole family of, I think there were 5, family of 5 come in. And, they've been with me for so long, and I've helped them with so many things. And it's just a wonderful, just like keep them healthy. And anytime something's going on, it's great because they'll call me and say, okay, can you help with this? And then I'll say, oh, no, that's a medical doctor thing. Or, yeah, let's get you in here. So it's great that, we can help them just thrive and be healthy. And the last is, supplements. They actually take supplements, and they try to do that consistently. Now, the reason I say supplements is because even though maybe they try, they're not getting all those nutrients in that we need, in the day-to-day. Even if they're trying to get other fruits and vegetables in. We just had a year, a lot of data has come out saying our country's vitamin D deficient pretty much across the board. So that is something we're going to have to supplement then. So making sure you're getting those in to keep you healthy, feeding the nutrients and filling in the holes that we're maybe not getting in our diet, just to help the body function and thrive like it's supposed to. Optimally. So that concludes my talk. I do have a couple things going on for the month of April, and I think mid-May we're doing our annual promotion of Sowing the Seeds of Health promotion. So we have some discounts going on for new patients and a family of 5. I think we have for a new patient, a single person would be $60 for the new patient exam. And if we have a family of 4, we do that just $200 for a family of 4. It's just this kind of a once a year thing. That's the only time we do it, and that's going on there. You can also get information on that on the website, thedoctorandyou.com. And also, we have more videos on these different health topics. So if you're interested on my YouTube channel, you can always call the office here in Johnsburg. And then we have, my book, Journey to Vibrant Health, that's on Amazon if you want more information on just overall health improvements. So thank you.